How can you make a woman miss you so much she can't help but desire you more? Hi there, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com, and today you're going to learn 10 secret ways to make any woman miss you, whether you've just started dating her or have been dating her for some time. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when a new daily episode is available. Also, check out the links in the description to download my free ebook, Texting Like a Boss, and to show your support by clicking on the tip jar link, both of which can be found at the website as well. And now, let's check out that clip. So, let's go ahead and talk about the 10 ways that you can make any woman miss you. So, first way is you want to show a woman a fun time on a date. And I mean, like, you want to make her laugh. You want to make sure you're listening to her and letting her talk about herself. And you want to show her, you want to take her to a place that maybe, other guys wouldn't have thought of. You want to make sure that you're making this the best date you possibly can. And the reason that you want to do this on that first date is because you want her to reminisce about this date when she's not in front of you. So that means whether she's at home and she's just sitting there thinking to herself about what a great time she had, or she's telling her girlfriends about this date she went on with this guy, that was just so awesome and so great and how the conversation was amazing or whatever. You want a woman to reminisce about this great time that she had, because it's only going to make her have feelings of wanting to see you more and more. And especially when the times that you're not in front of her face, she can go back and think about all those wonderful times that she had with you that made her feel really happy, really wanted, really desired, and how she could feel a growing attraction for you. And it's a lot easier to do this when you're showing her a good time versus a bad time, because, you want a woman to equate positive experiences with possibly dating you long term. So that's the first way to make a woman miss you. The second way is that in between dates, you do not want to initiate text or calls. So, and this is very, very important, because understand that the time between dates when you're not seeing her is the time when her brain is going to help you out most, because during that time that she's not hearing from you, her brain's going to start to do, number one, reminisce about the previous date that you guys had, and it's going to want more of that feeling. It's going to want more of that vibe with you. It's going to be thinking about the little moves that you said here or there, the conversations you had, and her brain is going to want to have that feeling again, especially if it was a lot of positive emotions, okay? And so the easiest way to do this is to not constantly be in front of her face by means of texting and calling. Now, a lot of people will disagree with this, and they'll say things like, well, but what if I don't call her, and what if I don't text her, and how will she know that I like her? We've been taught in this culture that because women, we hear that women want to bond and communicate and grow by way of communicating with a person. And so guys have taken that to mean, so in order to make her attraction for me rise quickly, I need to communicate with her all the time. And that is not at all what that means. What that means is that when you do see her, you're having the types of conversations that make her bond to you, but it does not mean you talk to her all the time. And the reality is that most women have busy lives going on, have other things going on besides you, and when you're not in front of their face, when she's not thinking about you, she has other people she's interacting with, she has other jobs that she's doing. She doesn't want to be interrupted all the time. And I've talked to so many women that express like how annoying it is that guys will just hit them up consistently just to say, hey, how you doing? What's up? And trying to flirt with them, when it's like, you could really just save all that for the date. But when they're not in front of your face, they have other things to do too, okay? But when you're not doing it, what's happening is you're now not being like every other guy that's trying to hit her up consistently. And that's going to, by default, make her want to have more communication with you. It's a want. And what I've said to you guys before is that the want for something does not mean that it is helpful to actually get that want attained. So she may want to hear from you all the time, but to fulfill that need to actually do that would not be helpful in your situation. And it takes away from her being able to miss you, okay? So number two, do not initiate text or calls. If she happens to text or call you during the time frame between dates when you're waiting to call her for the next date, then that is fine. You respond back. But again, you don't try to make this a long-term conversation. She sends a text back, you send a text back. She gives a call, you answer and say, hey, what's up? Keep it light and keep it small. And then, at that point, if she's hitting you up, that's when you can go ahead and try to set up another date. But until that happens, you want to make sure that you are not initiating anything, okay? That's number two. And then number three, speaking of that, is in terms of the time to wait between dates, you want to wait a minimum of 4 days between dates when you first start dating her, unless that request is incoming. So you take her on a date. After the date's over, there's none of this, hey, I had a good time, we should see each other again. There's no trying to plan another date right away. You make sure you end the date on a high note and then you wait a minimum of 4 days before you call her. Now, why do you do this? Because again, you're trying to stand out, and most guys that take her out are trying to move too fast, and they're trying to call her too soon, and they're not giving her the time to miss him, and then so she ends up losing attraction. Whereas you come in and you're different from 97% of the guys she's gone out with, whereby you show her a good time and then you split. Well, she's going to be thinking, oh man, I thought I had a good time. I thought he had a good time too. Like, why isn't he calling me right away? All these other guys would have called me by now. Did I do something wrong on the date? Is there something I could have done better? Like, and as she's thinking these thoughts, she's going to start thinking, man, I had a great time. She's now thinking back to the date that she had with you and what a great conversationalist you were and how you made her laugh. And she's wanting more of it, but you're not yet calling her. So she's wondering if it's going to happen again. And all this wondering does is make her realize that she likes you, and it makes her miss you even more, and her feelings will grow a lot faster. So that way, when you do finally call her up for a second date on day 4, she's not only ecstatic to hear from you, she's more likely to say yes to your date and also maybe go a little further on that second date, okay? But that only happens if you're waiting between these dates and waiting a minimum of 4 days to call her up. Now, again, like I said, if she hits you up, say on like day 2 of your day 4, of your 4-day wait, and she's like, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. If it's incoming, that's when you can say, hey, I had a great time on the day before also. You know what? I was thinking of doing X, Y, and Z on one of these 2 dates, one of these 2 days. Would you like to go? And then you can set up a date that way because she's calling you up. And if she's calling you up, that means she's missing you. And that means that she's eager to see you. And you can still say, hey, I want to see you again too, but let's set up a date for like 3 days from now. So you're still making her wait like 5 days now for that next date, you know? But, you know, people think that you got to rush into it in order to grow attraction, but you really do grow attraction more when you're making her wait. Like that old saying of absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, in the case of dealing with women that you've just met, that is absolutely true. Okay. So keep that in mind. Number 4 way to make any woman miss you is that there's going to be a point where after you've taken her out a few times, she's going to want to either reciprocate or she's going to want to present a date idea to you, okay? So she might call you up and say, hey, so I was thinking maybe tomorrow we could meet up and do whatever, okay? And that's fine if she does that. You can take that request. But at least one time in the course of your dating this woman, when she asks you out, at least one time, you have to tell her that you already have other plans. Now, this does not mean you turn down her date request, but it means you delay it. So she calls you up and says, hey, I was thinking we could go to dinner tomorrow. Just simply say to her at least one time during the course of your dating phase, say, you know what? Oh, I'd love to go, but I already have plans. But hey, I can do this next day or this other day instead. Now, why do you say that? Because the term other plans is very, very vague. And it means that it can mean anything. It could mean that you have a project you're working on that's got to be finished. It could mean that your homeboys have already invited you out, or it could mean that you have a date with another prospect and therefore you are not available. And regardless of what it actually is, the reality is she will not know if you just say other plans. But a lot of women's head will go directly to, oh, he's not saying exactly what his plans are. He must have another date. And that will usually make her want you even more. Now, in the moment, most women, when you first start dating them and you say something like that, they're not going to ask you, oh, do you have another date or whatever. They're just going to assume like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat too much. So I'll just say, okay, cool. Well, just do whatever. But she will be thinking, does he have another date? And that is going to really make her think back to any previous dates that you had and how great of a time she had. And now she doesn't want to lose that. And now there's a possible chance that she can. Okay. So it's one of those things at the moment where it's like, it's not like you necessarily want to do that, but it really does help in terms of making her see that, you know, she still has to kind of work to make sure that you want to be in this versus just assuming right away that she already has you. And that's a problem a lot of guys have, is that they start showing their cards too early. The woman assumes, I've already got this guy. It becomes less boring. It becomes more boring for her to want to continue to date the person, and then she's out, okay? And so when you do something like this, it just makes her brain realize how much she's getting attached to you, and it makes her really heighten like her sense of like, oh, I really want this guy around long term. And then that night that she thought she'd be able to see you, but you said that you couldn't see her that particular night, that whole night where you're out doing whatever, she's going to be missing you immensely. Like, man, I wish I could be spending time with him right now. I sure hope he doesn't cancel tomorrow because I really do want to see him, okay? So it only helps to build up her intense like for you. So that's number 4. Number 5 is once you start getting into things like visiting her place and having physical intimacy or whatever, make it a point to leave a piece of clothing over her place preferably with a cologne scent or some kind of scent that she recognizes is your scent, okay? So say you spend the night over there. A really good way to do this is to wear an undershirt under like a button-up shirt or whatever. And then if you guys are in the throes of passion, after you're done with that, as you're getting ready to leave, just put back on the overshirt that you had and accidentally leave over your undershirt, okay? And so as you get home, she'll be like, oh, you left your shirt over here, this is that. And you just be like, okay, well, I'll pick it up next time I see you. And then, you wait a couple days between dates to hit her up again for another get together. But during that time, she's now spending 2 or 3 or 4 days with your undershirt that smells like you. And every time she sees it, and every time she probably walks by and smells it, because she will try to like take a whiff of it just to smell your cologne, she can't help but think about you and the passionate night she just had and how great you smelled and all those pheromones that are probably in your cologne. And all those things are going to make her miss and reminisce about you and want you so desperately to come see her again. So it's a great little trick you can do. And this goes for like clothes. It also goes for like, if you have little trinkets or things that you leave over there or whatever, or, if you take video games over to her place and you might leave like one of the controllers by accident or whatever. But the point is, leave a part of yourself over there. It can only help to heighten her like for you, thinking about this thing being yours and you not being here, and this is your current replacement, making her realize that she have to think about you and she still wants the real thing. The number 6 way to make any woman miss you is you want to continue doing activities that you love without her. And this is very, very important because a lot of couples get into this thing where once they start dating each other, they feel as though they have to bring the person they're with to every single thing that they're doing. And that's not actually a good idea. You actually do want to continue doing activities that you were not doing with her before, if only so that when you are away from her doing that activity, she can say to her friends like, oh, well, he's doing such and such activity. Or she'll even go so far as to actually miss you, like, hey, I missed you while you were gone. I just thought about what the activity you were doing. And women love to think about things that their man is doing when they're not there. Because a guy that is about his purpose is, for all she knows, he's out making deals. He's out trying to get money. He's out doing things that are going to build up his life better. And women actually like to think about that. Like, women really get turned on by a guy that has prospects and is actually doing things. And she'll think in her mind all kinds of scenarios about, oh, he's probably negotiating deals and whatever. And those things are really attractive to women because it displays masculine qualities of leadership and go-gettedness that women crave in their man. But you can only do that if you're doing that when she's not around, okay? Because if she's around to see you do these things and realizes that, oh, the process you're doing is actually more mundane than she imagined, then it could cause her to be less attractive and miss you less. So make sure that you're still doing activities without her, but make sure to come home with a great story to tell her so she can just think and imagine about how great it was that you were doing this thing. The 7th way to make a woman miss you is to send her nice surprises. Now, I have talked about on this show before the fact that you don't want to be that simp guy that's just getting her gifts as the means to try to bribe her or trying to spend all this money or whatever. So I'm not talking about that because you don't want to be in that situation where you're trying to get stuff to try to barter for her affection. But that said, you can do nice little surprises here and there on days that don't mean anything. Like, I'm not a big believer in early on trying to get birthday gifts and holiday gifts. But let's say you've been dating a girl for 3 or 4 months and you're now in a situation where you've established you are boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. Then you might just want to, say she's at home working one day. You might want to send her like a thing of flowers or like an edible arrangement. Or let's say you go out of town for something and you see like a little trinket or a keychain or something that you just like, oh my God, she would totally love this. And then you get it for her and then you come back home and it's like, hey, I just want you to, hey, when I was out, I saw this thing and I wanted to give it to you. Well, now she's going to see that thing and she's going to have memories of the fact that when you were away from her, you were still thinking about her, and this little trinket that you got her is proof. These little flowers that you got her just because you wanted to make her happy today are proof that you still cared about her, and you're not even in front of her face. It's like she's gonna be reminiscing like, oh my gosh, like these flowers, this is such a great guy. These things make me feel as though he really, really wants me, desires me, and he's not even here right now, but I so wish that he was. The 8th way to make a woman miss you is to really limit your social media postings. There's gonna be a point when you're dating a woman that she's going to want to be friends with you on a social media platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever is now out there, okay? And part of the reason women do this is because they think that they want to be able to see your day-to-day. They think they want to see what you're posting and what pictures you're putting up. But the reality is that a lot of relationships actually start to dwindle at this point because, as they see their guy post more and more, he becomes less of a mystery. And over time, it's like there's now nothing to guess about this person. And I know it sounds weird that you think a woman would want to guess about you when we like to think that women want to be secure and know that their guy's, doing certain things or whatever. But it really does take away a fun aspect of a relationship for a woman, which is not always knowing what you're up to. And so when I start dating somebody, I find that what I do is I limit how much I'm posting on any platform because I don't want the woman to know always at any given moment of the day what I'm thinking, feeling, or whatever. I save that for dates or when I'm in person with her, okay? And when you're not posting a lot, then women can't delve into your life and see anything about you because they don't know what you're not posting anything. Versus them having to wait until they see you in person to ask these questions, that now makes them miss you more because every time they see you, they're going to want to learn more and more new stuff about you because that's the only way they can get it. They can't get it on social media because you're not posting anything, which is a good thing because it's going to keep you around longer as she needs more time to figure you out. The ninth way to make a woman miss you is to give her space and give her alone time. As an introvert, you already understand the importance of alone time. But sometimes, guys, let's be honest, we find a girl that we like, we really start to gel well with her, and for introverts, it's hard for us to gel with people. But when we do, we sometimes make the mistake of now wanting to be around that person all the time. Like I know in a relationship with me that I can be alone with a person that I'm dating, and that can still feel like its own alone time. Like it can feel as good as I was by myself being alone. But it's still important for that other person to get their alone time. And some women, believe it or not, will not recognize this. They will not recognize that they actually need time away from you. And so you have to give them that time. You have to be the one to say, hey, I still want you to have your girls come over some nights without me being here. Or, babe, if you ever need to just go out of town and just get a hotel to yourself or just have some space or whatever, please do that stuff. And women initially will be thinking are you trying to push me away? But over time, they'll learn to appreciate it. And then they'll also realize that when you give them their alone time, you're giving them that freedom to choose you. And a lot of women, when they get that alone time, they'll be alone thinking, I really want to get back to my guy because I just appreciate him so much for recognizing that I need my space and he's not jealous about it or whatever. But if you're a guy that's trying to, be around her all the time and not let her out of your sight and be all angry and upset when she goes out without you, then you are going to make a woman not only not miss you, but also be really eager to get rid of you because you look a little bit obsessive and that's not what she's about. And the 10th way to make any woman miss you, and I've said this time and time again, is be good at physical intimacy. The better you are at laying it down in the bedroom and learning what she likes and learning how to really give it to her in a way where she has these mind-boggling orgasms, which I did a video about, then you're going to find it's going to be really easy to get her to miss you because if you're able to give it to her better than anybody else could, then when you're not around, she'll be trying to do things to herself and she's just going to be thinking about the times that you just gave it to her so good that alone will make her be excited on her own. But you'll also start hearing things like, oh my gosh, when you're not here, I try to do it on myself and it's just not happening because I just like the way you do it better. And you'll also find that women start to get more touchy-feely. I did a video about that, about how when you have a good physical connection that women can't help but to be more touchy-feely with you in public, even if they're not a touchy-feely person. And so all this equates to when you give good physical intimacy and you're not around, women will be craving for that. And, women bond very quickly when you've had sex with them because the pheromones happen and the endorphins and all that stuff. And they typically bond a lot faster when those physical things are happening, which is why they typically try to wait a little bit before they hook up with you because they know once they hook up with you, if it's really, really good, they're going to have a hard time letting go of you, okay? But that's good because then when you do it and you go away, then they can't help but to want your presence and crave it and miss it. And again, if they're missing you, then that means that they're going to be consistently thinking about you. And if they're thinking about you, then there's no way they're going to want to get rid of you, okay? So just to recap the 10 ways to make women miss you. Number 1, show her a fun time on dates so she can reminisce about them long after you're gone. Number 2, in between dates, do not initiate text or calls. Again, you can answer and respond to them, but until you get to that second date request, do not reach out to her. Number 3, you want to wait a minimum of 4 days between dates before you ask her out again, unless the request is incoming. Number 4, when she asks you out, at least one time during your dating phase, you want to tell her you already have other plans, but you can do it on another day. Number 5, as you start to visit each other and hook up more, make sure to leave a piece of clothing or some kind of thing over at her place, just so when she sees it or smells it or whatever, she can think about you. Number 6, continue doing activities you love, sometimes without her. Number 7, you want to send nice surprises, whether it's flowers, gifts, trinkets, etc., just so she can think about you when you're not there. Number 8, you want to limit your social media postings. I know it's a hard habit to break, but guys, not everything you're doing in life needs to be posted, and it'll actually help you long-term with women. Number 9, give her space and her own alone time. Do not be jealous. Let her spend time to herself because you also know, as an introvert, you need your time alone. And then number 10, be good at sex. I cannot stress enough. look up stuff on the internet on on the generalities of what women typically like in bed. Learn to be good at those things. Make sure to ask her what she likes, but get good at it so that way when you're not there, she can think about that and really, really miss you. If you do these things, then I guarantee you it will be easy to make a woman miss you, desire your presence, and if they're missing you, then they're going to be wanting you, and it's going to be hard for them to want to replace you if they are in fact thinking about how much they want you around. Now that you've heard from me, I'd like to hear from you. What are some other good ways to make a woman miss you? If you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments below or write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. Are you ready to learn killer icebreakers that attract women on dating apps? Go to IntrovertDatingSuccess.com right now to watch my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps without using sleazy pickup lines, which will give you key secrets to sparking attraction and conversations with women online the smart way. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, and catch new episodes 7 days a week on YouTube and anywhere else podcasts can be streamed. In the meantime, check out some of the other awesome episodes on this page so you can better learn how to attract women and still get your precious alone time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.